Okay, so Thursday, midterm. All right, what are we going to do for the midterm? We have a multiple choice. All right, this is the multiple choice. And let's have a look at it real quick. What's in it? Because why not? You get to look at it. There's no time limit. All right, it's just really basic things. Like a function may return more than one item. Is that true or false?
True.
False, right? You can only return one thing.
Oh.
Int, char, double, float, one thing. That's it. Okay? A single function may have multiple return statements. Is that true or false? True. You can have several ifs in there with true, right? Return true, return false. Right? You need to write a function that will return the cost of some candy with parameter num candy, which will be an appropriate function prototype. So this thing returns the cost, right? So it's not going to be a string, right? It's got to be an integer. These two top ones, they look about right. Which one do you think it is? Huh? Top one, right? Because the prototype has a semicolon. All right? And those are the kind of questions you have to answer for the multiple choice. Okay? All right? So you go through it. I hope you do well. And if you don't, if you're really unhappy with your score, you let me know. I can reset it for you so you can take it again.
That's what I did last semester.
Okay. That's that. The debug a program without a compiler. We kind of went through this last time. Save image as. I'll put it right in there. Alright. So we have some things in here. Let's have a look at it real quick. Why not? Right? Anything wrong with this line? Or actually, hold on. First line. What's wrong with this one? No pound.
Oh, no pound.
You need a pound in front of it. Okay, next line looks good. Void check prime. Anything wrong with this line? No semicolon. All right. How about this one? Line 7. What's wrong with this one? I know it kind of sucks. You can't see it very well. Right. You need the parentheses. What about line 9? What's wrong with line 9?
It doesn't have a declare.
Doesn't have a data type, right? So the max value is what? Int? No. Char? We don't know. Okay. Cout, Cin. All right. The Couts are, I don't know. I think they look about right. What's wrong with the Cin? Line 12. Needs to be the opposite way, right? How about the for loop? 13, line 13.
It's got a compare parameter instead of a setting.
Awesome. You can't start with comparison here. You have to make it equal. There's something else wrong with that line. Semicolon. No semicolon in the loop. Otherwise, it's a do nothing loop, right? Okay. How about the line 15? Is that how we call a function? Are we sure? Right? What's wrong with it? When you call a function, you don't put the data type. You just call it by the name. Right? So no void. Going down. How about line 21?
You've declared it again.
I am putting a semicolon. So there's no semicolon in the definition, right? Because that's the thing we're going to do. Actually, this one was supposed to have a semicolon. This one doesn't have a semicolon, right? And then you have this and this. Okay, what's wrong with this picture? Line 23. Huh? Well, no, it's not I. You could call it whatever you want. J is good. But what's wrong with it? What's wrong with that line?
You have the, it should be j equals j plus 1.
Correct. You cannot have more than two things on the left of the, well, you cannot have more than one thing on the left of an equal sign, right? So you're assigning whatever's on the right to whatever's on the left, and whatever's on the left is just one thing. All right? How about line 25? No semicolon, right? If you have an if you have a for loop, no semicolon. Otherwise, it will just like do nothing. Okay? Num to check. It kind of looks right. Cout num to check.
31 is what should be an N after the
31, there should be an N after the backslash. Actually, if you try to do this, you're going to notice that the backslash in front of quotes will get rid of the quotes. If you want to show the quotes using a cout, you put a backslash in front of the quotes. So if you do this, it's like you never closed your quotes, which is why this thing kind of looks bluish, if you noticed. Okay, anything else? Notice the curly brackets. Right, these are matching, this thing here is matching. What about this one? There's one that's missing. Alright, so there you go. Somebody's going to watch this video and get a perfect score. Question?
Another problem.
What is it?
That one's called an int, but it's not returning anything, which is
Ah.
void, and the declaration says void.
Okay, good. Good job, Marissa. So this thing is a void, this thing is an int, right? They have to match. Otherwise it'll give you an error like, oh, you don't have a prototype with blah, blah, blah. Okay? So make it a void if you're not returning anything and it looks like it's not supposed to return anything, it's supposed to do a cout, and that's it. Alright, so that's the true false, that's the debug one. And let's have a look at the other one. Alright, so write both functions, test them both from the same main. As always, submit your output at the bottom of your program. You must submit one CPP file with 2 functions and 1 main in it, right? Alright, so we know what a function is to return a value. You already actually had to write one function for generating a random number, the randint function. You're totally welcome to use that as this. Just plug in the correct values, have it return values between 11 and 23, and you're done. Or you can write a whole different one that just returns a random value between 11 and 23. Do we remember how to do random values? Anyone want a hint on that? Or we're good? Why not? Okay, I will do that for you. So let me erase most of this stuff. Alright, so for the random value, you're gonna make me write stuff. You have to do whoops. You have to do include stdlib.h. You have to do include time.h, I think. And then you do, God, I forgot. How does it go? Int ic is equal to, it was like time, was it time no or something like that?
Yeah. And then you have to srand ic.
Then you have to do an srand iseed. Hopefully that works. Right? You might have to cast, what is it saying? Value time that may not fit into the receiver. Okay, so you have to cast it, I think. Int, like that. There you go. Now it's happy. No, don't you want. Using unsigned into the sub or whatever. Who cares? Alright, so that's that. Then, what do? We're going to make a random number. Let's say int random num is equal to something like min max. Let's do the min max, make it general. Int min max, right? Min is going to be, I don't know, I want a number between 10 to 20, right? 10 to 20. So it goes min plus rand parentheses max minus min plus 1. Oh yeah, there's a modulus in there too. Thank you, Marissa. Alright, so there you go. That's a random number. Hopefully it works. Cout random num. Alright, if you want to test it a bunch of times, you could just write a loop. Right? Because I don't want to run the program a bunch of times. I'm just going to go, alright, for I, wrong language, int I is equal to 0, I is less than 10, I plus plus. So that way we make 10 random numbers, hopefully. Run it. Oops, they're all the same. Because I didn't do this inside the loop, right? So I'm going to copy this thing, throw this thing inside of my loop. And by the way, let me just mess it up one more time. What's wrong with this one?
No curly brackets.
No curly brackets. So what it will actually do is it will do this thing 10 times and then it will show it one time at the end. So I got to go in there, curly brackets, here and there. Alright. I hate it when it does that. There you go. Random numbers between 10 to 20. All right. And if it didn't generate enough, make it longer. Go like 100. Instead of a new line, instead of a new line, just do space. There you go. That way they fit on the same line or something. There you go. Does it make a 10? Yeah, it does. Does it make a 20? Oh, yeah, I got a 22. So it's between 10 and 20. Okay? That's how you make a random number. So you just have to put this animal inside of a function and then make sure the function returns a value. Right? Right. Okay. So function 2, write a hold on. So first of all, write a function necessary to return a random number between 11 and 23. So let me just give you an example of a function that returns a value, right? In case you forgot. All right. Let's say int return val. All right. That's my prototype. And then throw it at the end. That's my definition. And I'm going to say, all right, return 10. Who cares? All right, cout. I know, it's the most useful function ever. Endl, cout. I'm just going to call the function two different ways. One way to call it is just return val right there. Or I can just say int val is equal to return val. And then I can do a cout val, right? In this one, I'm storing the value that this thing is going to return into this variable. Then I'm showing you the variable. In this case, I'm just calling the function right from the inside the cout, where it will return that variable, or return the 10 or whatever. Okay? Make sense? Any questions? All right. So that's a function returning a value. This one doesn't have any parameters. This one here is a void function which takes 3 float parameters and displays the largest number. Okay, here, I'll give you a clue on this one too. All right, so it's going to be void show smallest or smaller, right? Because you have to do some of this already. So let's say int a, int b, right? We're supposed to find the smaller of these two values, all right? And then say, all right, if my a is bigger than b, all right? Let's do the smaller because that makes more sense. If a is less than b, return a, right? And then you can say else, return b. What don't you like? Oh, returning int from a void function. Can't do that, right? So I'm not going to return. I'm going to do a cout. All right. So there you go. Cout a, cout b, and right. How do we call a function that? So this is calling a function. Calling a function that returns a value. This one here is calling a function that shows a value, all right, or a void function. Void function that shows a value, right? Doesn't return anything, so I just do, what is it called? Show smaller. Show smaller, and let's go give it a 1020. Right, then I'm going to do it again, show smaller. I'm going to give it 2010 just to make sure that it works both ways. And then let me do an endl here too. I run this thing, I should see 2 10s, 10, 10 right next to each other. Okay, I can do an endl too if I want. Okay, run again. There you go. You don't know which one's what, but there you go, 10. Okay, should make this 100. All right, so that's the two smaller functions. All right, the one that's worth 30 points. You should do well on this too. And so we did the multiple choice. We did the debug. We did these. Just remember for the debug, don't use a compiler. Don't go in there. Don't type this thing into anything. Do not turn in a CPP file because that will really give you away. Okay. So just you can point out, okay, line whatever, this is wrong with whatever's this line. Or you can just mark it on the picture itself, whatever you're comfortable with. Okay, and then the longer program. The longer program has to do with these assignments that you had to do already. Remember that we had to do something with the isTriangle function at some point? Okay, so the only thing that you have to do for this is validate that the user inputs the correct information. Remember how you do validation? Do while loop. Anyone want a clue on that? All right, want a clue? I'll give you a clue. All right, so let's say I have an int age, right? So this is validate the user input. Okay, so you don't know what the age is going to be until the user enters it. So we're going to do, and then the while, let's say while age is bigger, no, while age is less than 0, or my age is greater than 123, something like that. Let's throw in some extra parentheses because it wants it, most likely. Alright, semicolon at the end of that thing. Okay, local variable used in loop condition is not updated in the loop. Thank you, cline, you're very smart. So let's do that. Cout, enter age. Alright, cin, age. And now it's happy. Okay, so that's the user, validate the user input. In your case, you're making sure that the values are not negative. So do while the number is less than 0. Okay, all right, and then you have an equilateral triangle, in which case all things are equal. You have a right triangle, in which case one of the sides squared is equal to the sum of the squared of the other two sides. So let's just give you a clue, right? Let's say you have a int s1, s2, s3, right? You're going to be doing things like if s1 times s1, that's the easiest thing, is equal to s2 times s2 plus s3 times s3, right? That kind of business. Okay? Cout, hello world. Okay? And by the way, what are the values that are stored in these variables at this point? Garbage. Garbage is the correct answer. Right? You might think it's a 0, but it isn't, because C++ is not that nice of a language. Okay? If it was Java, Java will make them zeros to begin with. Right? Other languages will do nice things for you. C++ will just destroy your life and make you feel bad. Okay? So, and we haven't even done pointers, so we haven't gotten to the really ugly part. So, all right, that's finding a square. All right, this is your hint for the longer program, midterm longer program hint. There's 2 hints. Whoops. All right, I'm gonna throw it here, and this is your hints for midterm for shorter programs. Hints for midterm shorter programs. Okay, so that's that. What else do I want to tell you about the longer midterm program? Any other hints? Yeah, so basically what you have to do is you're going to have your validation. I already gave you an example of this. Then you have to do equilateral, checking to see if all sides are equal. How do we do something like this with an if?
A equals B and B equals C.
You have to do an and, right? So you can't just do one single equal, and you can't do all of them like that, right? So I can't go in there and do if S1 is equal to S2 is equal to S3, even though C++ is not going to tell you anything, right? Cout high, right? So even though it might look like it will work, it won't work, right? I can run this thing, whatever. All right, so it showed the high. Probably they're not all equal. This just doesn't work at all. Okay, so what do we do? If S1 is equal to S2 and S2 is equal to S3. That kind of stuff, right? Throw in there some extra parentheses. I'm giving you too much information, but whatever. Keep at
Is
it.
that different from what you normally do?
Yes. If it's a regular semester, I like to torture you more. Okay?
Good job with that.
Thanks. Okay, so the order of things is I would do this first, make sure they're all not equal, right? So it'll be if, then an else if, and then an else if, and then finally an else. Okay, and that's it. Make sure the program repeats itself. Do we know how to do that? Anyone want clues on that too? That a yes or no? Okay. So we want to have the program repeat itself. Let's say this is my whole program, right? Program goes from program to repeat, goes from here to, I don't know, all the way to the end, like right there. Okay? So I want to repeat this whole piece. What do? I do something like, all right, while true, okay, curly brackets, close the curly brackets all the way at the end of the piece that you want to repeat, and it nicely indents it for me. And it also highlights it in this ugly color, tells me that it's an endless loop. Okay, this is not from the compiler itself. This is just because CLion is an awesome IDE. C++ will not tell you that it's an endless loop. It will just go on forever just to mess with you. Okay, so what you have to do is, and that's why it's a good idea to use a good IDE. If you're using code blocks, it's not going to tell you anything. It'll just not work. Okay? But here I have to do something like, all right, let's say int repeat, right? And then here I'm going to ask them, do you want to repeat? All right, so I'll throw that in here too. All right, so cout, do you want to repeat the program? cin, repeat, and it's a good idea to tell them something like maybe 1 is yes, 2 is no, something like this, so the user knows what to enter. Okay, and then if my repeat is not equal to 1, which is a yes, then I break this thing. All right, that's a repeating a program. Any questions? All right, that's it. That's the midterm. So if you've been doing the homeworks, it should be a piece of cake. If you haven't been doing the homeworks, I'm sorry for you. Make sure you catch up. All right, ask me questions. All right, but bottom line is, before you get to the midterm, which is in week, I don't know what.
It's today.
Yeah, week 4, you need to have done all these other assignments. So you need to have 44 programming assignments under your belt before you do the midterm. But if you have done these 44 programming assignments, like this one right here, the randint, you could totally reuse this thing for the midterm, the one that makes random numbers, right? There's another one here where, I don't remember if we had to do a triangle one, but I'm pretty sure I had to. I threw it in there.
Yeah.
I know I've seen it. I don't remember which one of these it is, but I know there was like something with a triangle in there. So I kind of give you a whole lot of freebies. Like if you've been doing the homework, here's a freebie, here's a freebie, here's a freebie. All right, if you haven't been doing the homework, tough luck. Okay? Sorry for that one person who hasn't been doing the homework. Okay, the rest of you are enjoying it. Okay, so that's it. So we're on week 4. Next week we're going to be doing arrays and functions. So why did the programmer get fired or quit his job?
But he didn't get a raise.
He didn't get a raise. All right, there you go. Sheesh. All right. So yeah, that's why we're going to be doing. And if you want to be good at data structures, you need to know arrays like inside out. You need to be very good with arrays, which is okay. You will be by the time we're done. Okay? And that's that. So we have 2 more weeks left. Like what, 14, 15 days left in the semester? Take advantage. I'm here to help. Ask me questions. That's my email.
And then most people don't do the extra credit in the last week, they just go straight to the final.
Extra credit is just to,
The extra credit ones are fun.
they're fun, but yeah, if you don't do them, they won't count against you. I might have to go in there and make them all equal 0 points, but they're all going to be like 10 points worth if you do them, and if you don't, they don't count against you. They all have to do with arrays and functions, right? So what do you do with arrays and functions? Let's see if the previous one, I do arrays and functions. Yeah, I do a few of them, right? A few arrays and functions. It's not a whole lot, but I think it's enough to get you comfortable with the final. And the final is going to be all arrays and functions, right? I think. Yeah, there you go. Every one of them is, you gotta write a function that does something with an array. Okay? So yeah, if you do the extra credit, you'll have an easier time with these. Definitely.
You basically can like copy half the functions from what you've already done.
There you go. So I do a lot of freebies. It's the same thing. It's like if you have been doing the homework, I will hook you up with a lot of freebies on the final exam. So it might be better for you to do the extra credit. That way you can just recycle your code, kind of, sort of.
Is the final exam just kind of one CPP file that goes
It's
through?
one
all
big
the-
CPP file. Yeah, there's 10 functions to do different things, like show the original array, show the array in reverse, show the lowest value, highest value, sum of all values, average. You've done these things. Now we're going to be doing them with arrays. Okay? How many times a number appears in the array. So all these things you're going to know how to do, right? How to do the first and the last thing on an array, piece of cake. Show the elements of the array before a specified index. Not very hard. Okay? So yeah, if you've done the homework and you get to this final, you should be able to get it done in like half an hour, most likely. Right, Marisa?
Half an hour.
Or less. Okay?
I literally did it during another class.
But that's because you're a genius.
No, because I copied and pasted half of it.
That's because you did all the homework. You got all the freebies. You got the freebie points. Okay? Yeah. So, that's all I have for today. Any questions about anything so far? Hopefully class related. We're good? Sure? Positive? 100%? Okay, I believe you. So that's all I have. I am going to unplug this so I can stop the video, and I'll upload the video for you.